Ready.
Set.
Gamecast.
Welcome to Ready Set Gamecast's Game of the Year discussion for 2018. A yearly podcast about video games and late book fees. I'm Bryce, and I'm joined by the greatest film student in the Tri-County area, Teddy Chinaris.
Technically, the school has a video production major and a motion picture major, and I'm not a motion picture major. I'm a video production major. So fight me.
Oh, fine.
All right. You didn't decline my demand to fight me though. So like when we do the math.
I'm saying fine. I will fight you.
Oh, okay. Like let's do it.
That's
okay.
what I'm agreeing to. Not that
Okay.
you are.
Okay. Let's get it.
And the greatest Kingdom Hearts shipper, Darian.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Who are you shipping these days? What about the ships in the Pirates of the Caribbean world?
No.
No.
I actually don't like that world very much because Jack Sparrow is not voiced by Johnny Depp, and I feel like Johnny Depp really makes that character.
Yeah.
Although the person they have voicing Jack Sparrow in Kingdom Hearts 3 is really close. Like, hopefully in-game it's as convincing as the trailer was. But I had to look up to see if they got Johnny Depp. So
I watched a YouTube video about like the hardest boss battles of Kingdom Hearts 2, and this guy just dropped in like, oh, also I think that Jack Sparrow is Sora's dad and neither of them know it.
that's really weird.
And it was like, okay. He's like, I'll do a video about that later, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Just casual conspiracy theory.
Okay. So this is our Game of the Year discussion, where we will be picking our favorite games for different categories. If you have been viewing our content for over a year now, you will remember how we did it last year. But we're doing it different this year because I listened to the Giant Bombcast and I like the way they did it, so I'm stealing it. It's mine now. Honestly, 90% of the podcast is inspired by the Giant Bombcast, so it's like the Ready Set Gamecast.
So basically, we're not original just at all.
Ready Set Gamecast
Right.
is a combination of the Giant Bombcast and the kind of funny Games Daily. No, it was more XOXO. Because the topic of the show I stole from them, which was topic of the show was from IGN's. I don't know.
It's from Beyond.
Yeah,
back in the day.
So I stole some stuff from different people, and now it's a Ready Set Gamecast.
Maybe we should do we need to come up with our own segment. You know?
Like,
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But one day we'll have our own thing.
yeah, we'll throw in the cutest pixel each episode. Which
the cutest pixel.
I don't
What
know.
pixel that you saw in the last 2 weeks was the cutest? Solid.
I like the center nipple on Kratos.
Just this one right here.
Yeah.
And we have to zoom into it each week. This one, do you see it?
It's so good. It's the right perfect red. How we're doing it is we're going to start off the show with giving shout outs to our favorite games from 2018. They don't necessarily need to apply to the different categories we're going to be discussing. We're just going to celebrate our favorite games of 2018 at the top. As part of that, we're going to be nominating games for the categories. We can say, you know what, this game had an amazing soundtrack. This is why it's great, but also let's talk about it in best soundtrack. So just to give a little mention, here are the categories we'll be talking about. Best visuals, best sound design, best soundtrack, most innovative, best gameplay, best story, and the Game of the Year for 2018, which obviously is the best overall. So let's start it off with the shout outs portion of the podcast. And I will start off talking about the game that I've spent most of the day playing, Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I think this one probably deserves a slot in some different things, and I have some nominations in mind. I'm the only one who's played Red Dead Redemption 2, correct? Of the three of us?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've just been dabbling in it because honestly, I heard it was kind of slow, and there was some people who were really into it, some people who were really against it. But I was like, I've got this. I've beaten some other games in 2018, but I'm gonna hop in and try and get a good feel for this before we do the game of the year. And the more I played of it, the more I really enjoyed it. It has so many different mechanics that just feel awesome. And the side missions are really cool. Just the like one note of like, go over here and just like fight off a wave of guys who are trying to kill a person that you just were like, hey, can you tell me a story? And she's like, I'll tell you a story if you help me kill these 20 guys. And you're like, okay, I wasn't doing anything.
Might as well.
And it's a lot of really cool moments throughout of just, I'm early on, very, very early on. I'm at the, I guess, second camp. Like you start on the mountains and then you move into a different camp later on. I'm sure you move after that. I think my favorite thing so far has just been going out in the wilderness, because they have you going out into the wilderness. They have you a mission where they show you how to hunt a legendary beast, which is like, hey, there's this super cool bear that's out here, and like, hey, you can go hunt it. And then they kind of just like left me out in the wilderness, and I just kind of like walked around and like tried doing more hunting. And there was these like all these little moments of just the sound, like the sound of the wilderness was so great. I've got surround sound in my living room, and like the birds chirping and all of the noises, I felt so at peace just in this wilderness. I told my girlfriend, I was like, I would love if they just made this like a hunting game. I would love to just do this. I was like, they nailed it so much that it's like I could just hunt in this game and that would be all I need. But the like having your horse and bonding with that and finding new horses and the interactions with all the characters at the camp. Like when I go back to camp, I will talk to everyone, and I love the fact that they know things about what your current status. Like I went hunting because you have to get supplies for your camp. You have to get food. So I hunted a deer, bring it to camp so I can feed the people. And my guy had a big blood stain on his jacket because the deer, he was carrying the deer over him. And I walk up to this girl and she's like, you know, you got blood on you. And Arthur's just like, yeah, it's fine.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
So like the whole world just feels so real. Like both the characters feel like they have their own thing going on. They're constantly like interacting and like I am doing these things. Like I can hear these characters like fighting or discussing things in the background. And I feel like I'm one part of this bigger world in both the story and the world in general, of just going around, and little moments that happen feel so cool. But I haven't gotten far enough to talk about the story. Soundtrack's really cool. It helps with that in peaceness of being out there and just like this cool like country tunes, like banjo guitar type stuff. I feel really good. But I'm gonna throw it in for best sound design, because all of the sounds with my surround sound system, I like crickets chirping and birds and everything just sounds so real and so good that it like both immerses me and like feels so calming, and I totally believe it deserves a shout out. But like I said, too early to be able to nominate for anything beyond that. So that's what I got.
I should probably play that game one day.
Yeah. I honestly, like, if you... It's very slow. I will say this.
That's
like,
what worried me, is
Yeah.
like Fran Mirabella the third, guy who is super into Destiny like me, like he said that he played through all of it, but he straight up was like, the shooting feels bad. Like it doesn't feel good. And I'm like, I'm a shooter guy. Like I don't know if I don't know. But I do also enjoy a good story and all this. So if I can play it when I'm not super tired, because I feel like that game will also actually put me to sleep. I'm worried about that because I have played games where I've fallen asleep in my chair. So I don't know, but it does seem really good if I can get past the slowness.
Yeah,
of it.
definitely.
I'll try it one day.
There's sort of a fast travel system, but for the most part, you basically have to... You can only do fast travel at towns, to different towns. You have to find a stagecoach, but for most of the time, you have to, like, just hop on your horse and be like, go here. And what you can do is put him on the path and then put it in cinematic camera mode, and then you have to like tap X to keep your horse going, and you basically just watch it. And on one hand, like, you could, like, I was like, oh, you can walk away, I guess, if you want, but then also things will happen. I have put it in cinematic mode, and then I start hearing wolves chasing me. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta pop out and make sure, like, we get through this. And I've had bandits jump in on me. It's kind of a cool pop into cinematic mode, let it do it, and just kind of enjoy the ambiance, but still pay attention. It's very slow. It's very deliberate in its actions, but I can totally see why it's not for everybody. But a very great, like, chill Sunday afternoon game, I would say. Teddy, what have you been enjoying in 2018?
The first game I'm going to throw out here, Darian has a lot of my games. The ones that she's going to bring up are a lot of my, like, top games. But this game, I also created a top 10 list, and I ordered it, and I did that a little bit before this. And this is my number 3 right here. Celeste is a great game. I did not finish it, sadly. I do want to go back and finish it. I think I got about halfway from what everyone told me. I feel like I got around halfway. And that game is so good. I had it on my Switch, so I played it every day. Like, my first class in my first semester of 2018 would get out early, and I'd go sit and for 30 minutes before my next class, I would go sit in, like, the lobby in front of it, and I would sit down, I'd pop my Switch into, like, tabletop mode, and I'd lean forward, and I'm like, all right, I got this, because that game is hard, and the actual difficulty of the gameplay, like, ties in with the narrative, which is super unique, and the soundtrack is awesome, and it's incredible. That game's awesome, and I really want to go back and beat it. Because the whole narrative basically is about, like, overcoming the game and, like, the main character, Madeline's, like, troubles and her, like, it's very much like mental health. It's about mental health, and it ties in with the gameplay. It's cool.
Consider this podcast spoiler filled. We are going to get into it on everything. So, yeah, if any of you guys want to talk about, hey, that thing, hey guys, if you are worried about any 2018 games being spoiled, turn it off now.
I mean, I will personally tell you if I'm going to spoil a game. I will personally throw that out.
Okay.
I think it's good that you preface it, because I will just start going into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying maybe turn it
then.
off for this one, because I think to be able to fully discuss what should earn the title, we're going to be, especially for story, I don't think we can justify talking about stories without talking about the spoilers. So, yeah. That's your warning. Get out now.
But yeah, Celeste is awesome. If you haven't played it yet, you really need to. It's great. It's really, really good.
Do you think Celeste deserves a category?
I
figure best gameplay.
Personally, I would throw it
I mean, it can be in multiple.
We can weed these out later. Like we can just cut them all, but for now I'm just gonna freely put it in everything.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in visuals, soundtrack, and gameplay.
Okay. He's manually doing that himself while Darian tells us.
I'll try and keep track of what everybody's saying, and I'll put them in the doc.
Okay. Well, Darian tells us about a game she loved in 2018.
A game that is going to be very, we're gonna have a pretty similar opinion. I feel like everybody here.
Yeah, we all really want to bang Kratos.
Sure.
True.
Okay.
Sure.
That's true.
Darian, tell us about this game.
All right. So this game is about falling in love with Kratos.
What's the game?
It's called God of War.
It's called Marvel's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's about falling in love with Kratos.
Oh, jeez.
Fucking psych.
No. So it's God of War. It's the 4th game in the God of War series.
But it's technically it's very much
It's like a
reboot.
new story arc.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like all the previous stuff is very much canon, but like you do not have to know any of it to play.
No, you don't have to. It's more impactful if you do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so God of War changed my whole life.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It's true. I'll never love again.
Oh, poor David. Poor your boyfriend.
It's okay. He knows.
He's fine with it.
I don't know. It's very beautiful. It's a good because there's multiple settings. There's like settings for immersive gameplay, or less immersive, I guess. I don't know what the opposite word would be for that. Because when you're doing the game settings, it'll ask you if you want a more like immersive experience, and it'll take off some of the HUD and stuff.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't even know that. No,
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah. And
what about it was great? Do you like the combat, the story, the music,
all of
how
it
it looked?
Kratos' butt in my face the whole game.
Teddy, what did you like about God of War?
Basically what she said, but yeah, everything. Like
He liked Kratos' butt in his face the whole time.
Except for that part. I mean, I don't mind Kratos' butt in my face, but I didn't particularly love it.
I liked the foot. I like the face on Kratos' butt in my face.
Oh, that's a great face on a butt. It's a great face on a butt. Best face on a butt in games in 2018. We're adding that category. No, the visuals are, I think God of War is probably the best looking game I've ever played. Like it's definitely up there now with like the highest, like best looking console games. The soundtrack is fucking incredible. The soundtrack is so good. I literally have like the God of War theme on my Spotify playlist, and it'll come on and I'm like, yeah.
That song gets you so hype.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's awesome because that song reminds me of the God of War reveal from E3 a couple years ago, and that reveal was so good. Like I'll go back and rewatch it and get chills like every time. It's so good. So I love the soundtrack, and the gameplay is super great. The combat is super, oh my God, how do you describe the combat? The combat feels amazing. Like it's very much hack and slash. Like there are combos and abilities that you learn as you go on. I like that you learn new abilities and new combos and like actually change how you play as you go on. Eventually you get something that completely changes how you play.
No, this is spoiler filled. Let's get into it. I love that like there was very little cutscenes in terms of storytelling, that they basically were telling the story all throughout. Like there's constant conversations between Atreus and Kratos and Head Boy.
Mimir?
Yeah, Mimir.
Yeah.
Could you not remember his name?
I could not remember his name.
Okay.
That expanded the story and gave context, and even like little moments like when Atreus was feeling sad and Kratos kind of reached out but then kind of pulled back, because like it showed so much growth through this character with so little.
Yeah.
Like he didn't say it, he showed it. And that is a testament to what they were able to do graphically. Like they had the movement so good that like it felt like his actions felt powerful.
Throwing the axe.
Oh yeah,
is one of the best parts of the game. Throwing the axe and recalling it. So good.
But that moment where he's like she's like, you need something that's like hotter than, you know, the frozenness of hell, and he's like, I have to go home. I just like stopped breathing as he like, it was, they completely changed the pace of the game. Like it was very action and stuff, and then it just slowed to a crawl as he just slowly walks to the boat, and you're just in the boat, and Athena shows up, and he like just like they don't even say anything. The I would say the beauty, like the fact that they did their storytelling with saying so little is so great. They didn't tell, they showed, and they did it so well. And then yeah, I'm like, getting that second weapon felt so good, because then you were switching between them and it really opened up the gameplay. Because awesome. I mean, you had your shield, you had your axe, and you had the powers associated with those. But then you had a whole new weapon that you were switching between, and then like when you were fighting the Valkyries, you were using everything you had to be able to defeat them. And those, I spent like 6 hours trying to defeat a Valkyrie, and I didn't get tired, because it took like Dark Souls mechanics and made them feel better than Dark Souls has ever done for me. Maybe Bloodborne feels better, but I didn't get into Bloodborne. But everything about the combat felt so good, especially when they put you to the test, like a Valkyrie fight, where you had to learn to parry and dodge and do everything perfect to be able to fight these opponents.
Yeah. So about that moment that happens, the big moment of going back and getting the Blades of Chaos or whatever they're called. Have you guys played the other games? Like, what's everybody's experience?
I've played all through 1. I don't think I played 2 or 3. I know a little bit about it. I ended up watching a what happened after the fact. I was able to pick up oh, he killed his dad, and stuff.
Darren?
No, that's why I didn't want to play it in the first place.
Oh. I didn't either. So everybody is freaking out about the moment where he goes and gets the blades. It was a great moment, don't get me wrong, but personally, it did not blow me away like it blew everybody else away. I was like, this is cool. Like, he went and he got the things, and I was like, oh yeah. And that was kind of it. I was just like, cool.
Even having not played the previous games, I understood the significance of that moment. And I
did too.
I didn't realize how emotionally invested I was in the game until that moment. Because then I was like, oh my God, this is huge for Kratos. This is a big deal.
It was a big moment for him that he had to do it, but it personally did not blow me away like it seems to have blown everybody else away. But it was definitely an awesome moment. It didn't blow my socks off, you know?
I mean, yeah, like the story's significance. That's why, gameplay, it's awesome, but and killing things with those blades is so cool, but they completely hid that fact. They at no point they were like he's got the thing. They only showed him ever using the axe.
Yeah, that's why it was really cool, because it was and there was still a good bit left, it seemed like, to the game. So it was like, all right, I got some time to use these too. Cool, not just a thing at the end.
They didn't just you didn't just unlock it. It wasn't just like a thing. There was a moment of him just accepting that like he needs to accept who he was to save his son, and through that like basically accept his godhood to be a good father. And then he, you know, as such had to tell Atreus that he is a god
that he's been running from for years.
Yeah. So you know, getting the Blades of Chaos was basically saying like, I can't run anymore. This, like, my son needs me to be who I am.
Yeah. It's a very good video game. I want to replay that game so bad.
Talking about
it was great.
Amazing moments. The thing on the wall where it's like, why did the wall call me a different name? Was like, oh my God.
Ooh,
yeah.
I also didn't blow me away. Everybody was like, oh shit, he's Loki. And I was just like, cool, he's Loki.
Do you
that
know
could mean a
anything
lot.
about like Norse mythology? Like that moment was so significant. I was like, oh shit, they're tying it in so good.
Yeah.
It could mean a lot of things for his future, but it's also Sony Santa Monica. Like they could do completely something else with it if they wanted to.
Well,
Right.
what's interesting is that he wasn't originally supposed to be Loki. I watched an interview about how they like came up with that, and they pitched it to the main guy because it was the story was co-written. And they were like, hey, they basically pitched it by going like, hey, you know, we you know, basically the lines that Atreus says of like, oh, I saw on the wall, it's a different name, it's Loki, and then the who's the director?
Cory Barlog.
Yeah, Cory Barlog. He was like, that is so good, and they put it in there. But yeah, like throughout the game, like there's all of they end up twisting these things of Norse mythology. They take what you expect, and then they kind of like twist, because obviously Kratos isn't in Norse mythology. So it's like, oh, he's kind of in there wrecking what you would expect.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, if Atreus is Loki, then it kind of makes sense. Like it does match up.
Personally, the moment that was around that that time in the game that like about names that meant more to me was him like talking about why he named him Atreus. I was like, that's really cool. Like that was more of like an like that had more significance to me than the other thing.
I mean, surprisingly, honestly, like I think they nailed everything.
Yeah. And if we stop talking about this game before mentioning this, I will be ashamed of us. The one-shot camera. The whole game is one entire shot. It does not cut to black at any moment. It's one camera, which no game has ever done before.
Dope.
It's incredible. That is one of my favorite things about the game is that like it's the whole time. I remember like multiple times throughout that game being like, this still has not cut. Like it's still like it's so impressive. There's no like loading. There's no cuts. It's just one thing the entire time.
Yeah, they used that really good in that boat scene where the camera circled around, and then a thing like you go into the like cave thing, and then Athena's there, and then it circles back around, and then she's not, and then it's like
another one last thing I definitely want to be sure to mention is the I love how it's very much kind of, it's not Uncharted where it's like a globe-trotting thing. It's this one little kind of island. I mean, they do kind of globetrot, but in a way with the different like dimensions and whatnot. But like they go to one thing on this bridge, and then they go there, and then they come back. Like it's all in this one little island. It's all with these like very few characters. It's like this small cast. Like it seems very, it's a big story, but it's also a very small personal story. Yeah. Like I really enjoyed that. It's just like I could name, there were like, what, 6 characters? Like there's really not that many characters overall. Like it's just a small little thing that I think they're going to expand as time goes on with the next one and more so.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see growth in each character because they had time to do that because there weren't that many.
Yeah, there was only 5 characters, and all of their stories felt important. Like the dwarves that were just like basically your equipment shop, like that moment at the end where they came back together was like, oh my god, like the end of that game just felt so good. Like it kind of felt like the last day of high school. Like you're kind of having this like beautiful moment of ending, and everything seems so awesome, but you know it's about to be over. And it's like so good. They nailed the story. They nailed all of the beats so well. And I'm so excited to see what they do next.
I remember ending that game and being like, I don't know if I have any complaints with this. Like, I remember being like, I'm not sure. Like, I remember trying to think and being like, what did I not like? And I came up with some things way back in the day, but like, at the moment, I just remember how good of a time I had with it.
So we just throwing that in every category?
We want to put that in...
Particularly best indie game. Just kidding.
Best student game.
Just add that in.
Best esports title for sure too. So that in
Oh,
there.
definitely. I mean, we'll get into that in categories, but it's
Actually,
Let's throw that in most
we probably
fuckable.
do want to put this in everything.
yeah. We'll get it. We'll talk about this more about why it deserves the different categories. I don't think it's gonna win every category, but there's definitely
No.
I want to talk about why it's good in all of these things later on.
Personally, we're mainly talking about the games now, and then when it comes down to the bottom, we're just kind of sorting. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's gonna be like talking about the specific things. What about a soundtrack was so good? What about it makes it so innovative? Blah,
Yeah, but it'll still be pretty quick because
Yeah.
we've already talked about the game a lot.
So that brings us to another action adventure game, but this one in virtual reality. It's called Moss. So I ended up coming to it when it was originally released on PlayStation VR, because Sony's just throwing all the VR people money, and us Vive people gotta wait. Even though we have a bunch of other games that, like, it's easier to get games onto the Vive just because Steam.
Easier to publish too.
Yeah, but the Moss came out on Vive recently, and it's not a game I got too far into. I guess I got a few chapters in the story. It's hard to say how long the game is. But in terms of the world, so you're playing as a little mouse. I will say gameplay, not in love with. Don't love controlling the mouse. I kind of wish the mouse controlled himself, and then because you have to move the mouse, whose name is Quill, and
She's very cute.
and then you also have to like move things for them to jump onto. So you're kind of like acting both as the mouse and as this kind of supernatural being that is yourself, and you got to move things for them so they can platform around. Throughout the game, you're basically playing in these little mouse-sized areas. They're kind of like dioramas almost, and so it's like a temple for mice, but you are still human-sized. And there's like these really cool areas where like you're moving through this like mouse-sized island in this lake, and there's like a deer behind you, and you're like, it's so cool to like look around and see the scale and the world. And they nail both the details in the diorama world and in the bigger world that like blew me away. Gameplay not that great, but there's a lot of real cute touches with Quill. He'll talk with sign language. I don't know it, but my girlfriend was watching, and at one point you can heal Quill by like basically grabbing him for long enough. It kind of heals him. But the first time you do that, Quill makes a little gesture at you, and Aaron told me that he was using the sign language to say thank you, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it's a dope. If you got a VR headset of any type, it's on Steam and PlayStation VR, and I think the Oculus works with Steam. So if you got any VR headset that's not a cell phone, you should be able to play it. I very much recommend you check it out. The visuals are stunning. and I'm very excited to see where the story goes.
Do you think we should put this in anything? Moss is definitely one of those games that I want to play if I ever do get it.
I say visuals. Other than that,
All right.
probably not. I just want to give a shout out to it.
Yeah. I would like to talk about Dead Cells, which on my list of top 10 games I have at 6, but I did have higher that I moved around. The Dead Cells is so good. I was originally... The reason why I was so excited about the Nintendo Switch was because of a little game called Rogue Legacy, which had cross-save between PS Vita and PS4. And when I was moving up here to Nashville, it was great, because whenever we took trips up here, I would play it on my Vita, and then I'd go home, transfer the save to PS4, and continue there. And that was like my original Switch experience. And when I heard that the Switch was that, with every game, I was so excited about it. That's what I wanted the Switch to be so badly, that I can just plop it into a dock and then it's on the TV. So I love my Switch. And I have Dead Cells
Teddy
on the
loves
Switch.
to plop.
I love to plop, dude. Doesn't everybody? Just a good old plop. I have Dead Cells on my Switch, so it's exactly that. And it is the newest roguelike kind of game that is somewhat similar to Rogue Legacy, where when you die, you have to start over again. But as you play through, you get certain upgrades that are permanent upgrades so that you keep those when you restart. So it's a steady progression of getting better at your own skill and learning how to just fight the enemies there and like learning all the different weapons, and a steady progression of your actual character and what they can do. It's really hard. I definitely did not beat it. It's the one knock I have against it is I think it might be too hard. Like, I think there's still a good bit left of that game for me. And I played it for like 20 hours or something. Like, I played a lot of Dead Cells. And I did not come, I don't think, anywhere close to beating it. I think I beat like the first two bosses. And that game is awesome, but I think it was just a little too drawn out. But I also just didn't play too many games in general, or beat too many games, because I was incredibly busy last year. But Dead Cells is really, really good. I do want to go back and keep playing it. It's a great game to just grind on the Switch, and then when you get home, you can just continue your progress. It's awesome. So Dead Cells is great. And now Darian should talk about a game that I also really love, that's higher on my list.
All right, it's a game called Detroit Become Human. And it's it's another PS4 exclusive. You know what?
What?
3 of the 4 games that I mentioned are PS4 exclusives.
Yup.
Wait, because that's nuts.
Yeah. PS4 is killing it with exclusives. Out of my top 10 games, 1, 2, 3, just 3. Just 3 are PS4 exclusives.
Huh. Anyway, it's a game about androids in the year 2038, and it's about them gaining
Fucking.
sentience. Yeah, fucking.
That's what it's all about.
You know, androids, they just want to fuck like the rest of us, you know? That's all they
God.
want. They
What
want
did I
equal
do?
fucking rights. It's the second most fuckable game on my list.
Behind God of War. Okay.
So how
Bryce didn't want me to talk about most fuckable, and now it's gonna come up every time I talk.
how was the thinly veiled story about how racism's bad?
It was good. That's the thing. Everybody's like, oh man, it's so cheesy, it's so corny, they're drawing all these parallels. It's like, yes.
And
like I'm pretty sure things like this would happen, as we've seen in history. So like they're drawing the parallels. Like,
I mean, it was.
I get that some of them were a little too on the nose, but like even then, I'm just kind of like, Dan, like why does that matter? Like why is that bad or good? Or it makes sense to do that personally.
But we're white, so.
I enjoyed Detroit more than I gave myself credit for. It's number 4 on my list, below. Well, we haven't mentioned one of them yet, so I'm gonna keep that a secret. But Detroit is number 4 on my list, and that game was awesome. It's one of I have 10 games on my list, and I beat 4 of them. Yeah, I beat 4 out of the 10 games on my list, and
Wow.
Detroit was one of them.
You want to know something, Teddy? I
What?
beat every game that's on my list.
Yeah, that's good. I wish I could do that. That'd be awesome.
And Bryce beat one of them with me.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
I was like, oh wait, where's the co-op? Okay.
Detroit is awesome. I'm completely blanking on the studio. What is it? Oh my god, no. it's
Quantum
not
Theory?
that. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Is it actually
Quantic Dream.
the Quantum Dream?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. It's a David Cage game, which a lot of people have contention with him. But they make Telltale kind of style narrative choice-based games, and it is incredibly. The way it all ends is really cool. In this game, you play as 3 different characters, and they each go on a story, and you switch between them, and they intersect at points and whatnot. And I quite enjoyed it. I think I liked the Connor story easily the best out of all of them. Connor's story was really great. And yeah, the soundtrack was pretty cool. The certain like bits where you have to walk around wasn't too great, but I think the bits where you have to walk around were definitely done better than like Telltale does. So I did enjoy it. The story definitely fell flat at a lot of different points, but that's gonna happen with like a choice-based game where you can't exactly do one specific narrative. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Where do you guys think should this go anywhere?
I didn't play it. Sim Story would be the place that would make more sense.
I'll throw it in there, but we'll I'll just throw it in there.
Other than that, I don't think it probably.
I think the sound design was really good too.
It was. I don't know if it would warrant in the category.
You
but
can throw it there, and then
good.
we can cut it. We can,
Okay.
you know.
What?
We'll just throw it there.
If you're gonna cut it before
No,
we get there,
put it in
why
there,
put
and
it
then we'll-
there?
And then we can talk about it.
Be like, okay, compared to the options, does it deserve it?
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, it'll give us a
Oh, the
chance to
soundtrack
talk
was
about.
really good too. Take it out of sound design, put it in soundtrack.
Put in both.
Okay.
Okay. Here is a game that I already know why I put it in. It's for most innovative, and it's Pokemon Let's Go.
I did not expect that, actually.
Exactly.
I did because he's already talked about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Yes.
So Pokemon Let's Go removes the classic catching mechanic, just has you throw the Pokeballs. At first I didn't like that. I ended up playing on for the most part handheld, so that you would think that it would let you touchscreen it of like you were playing on your phone. But instead you basically move the Switch around and tap A when it's in the right position. I found that easier to use than when I tried to use my Joy-Con to whip it. But I think like the thing that makes this more innovative is how the classic ones are just like go catch Pokemon, go battle Pokemon. Just there's a little bit of story, but it very much felt like I was Ash. Like I was.
We're in spoiler territory, right?
Yeah, we're in spoiler
There's
territory.
also a theory that Green is the clone of Fuji's daughter that died.
Okay, I mean that's sure that's a spoiler, but it's just a random internet theory, so who cares?
Well, Matt Pat said it, so I believe it.
I don't know who that is, but fine.
Keep going before she kills you. Run.
So they added in both cutscenes with. They added in interactions with your main Pokemon, either Pikachu or Eevee, where you were like playing with it, and it's always fun you, and you can like talk to it. And they would have cutscenes throughout. The most notable one that blew me away was like, this feels like I am the Pokemon trainer, that I am part of the story, because
I thought you were gonna stop there. This feels like I am the Pokemon.
I am the Pokemon, yeah.
I am the Pokemon.
that I am in the Pokeball and they are my trainers. They throw me out when they want to battle. Was as you were going to finish going to Victory Road and we're about to fight the Elite Four, you go up to the plateau and they do this little cutscene where Pikachu jumped off my shoulder and basically ran up ahead, and we kind of looked up at the Elite Four's stadium building thing, and it felt like all the stuff we had to go through of this like momentous final thing that we were doing, and Pikachu just kind of like looks back at me, and that gives you 3 things that you can say of like, you know, it's all up to you now, or come on, we can do this, or something. And then I was like, we can do this, of like, this has been a teamwork effort. And that, speaking of the teamwork effort, you have the like battling thing that's been throughout, but they also added in the friendship level that your Pokemon would dodge moves, would like shrug off attacks or shrug off poison or whatever, because you had a strong friendship. And that very much felt like the anime of like, literally like Pikachu should have lost so many battles, but Ash was just like, I love you, Pikachu, don't die. And he didn't.
Ash also was like, Pikachu, I know you're an electric Pokemon, but please learn this fire move.
Yes. Which is you can do in Let's Go. It's just like Pikachu's doing the like Splish Splash. I love how dumb the like weird moves that the Pokemon can learn is like, oh, you're doing a water attack and it's called Splish Splash.
Sizzly slide.
Taking a bath.
So funny.
But they could have kept the core mechanic of you've got to battle and then throw the Pokeball. I would have been fine with that. I get that they're trying to add in, you know, trying to appeal to the people who played Pokemon Let's Go, because that was huge. But the little things that made the story and your connection to your Pokemon stronger made it feel much better than any other Pokemon game. I haven't played a lot of the Pokemon games. I played the classic ones. I jumped in the middle and around XY when they went 3D. I was like, oh, this seems like a good place to, you know, see where it is. There was too much going on. But the fact that they kind of went back to basics and kind of tweaked things in really interesting ways is why I think it deserves most innovative. But we'll talk about that later, after Teddy tells me about another game that I've played.
It's called Overcooked 2. It's the sequel to Overcooked. Who would have guessed? It is a very, very good video game because there are not very many games like it. It is a very fun cooperative cooking game. I remember telling my brother-in-law about this, being like, the original Overcooked, where I was like, yo, you gotta play this with me. I need somebody to play with. It's gonna be great. And he's like, I don't want to play some lame game about cooking. And then I sat down and started playing one solo in front of him. And then he's like, give me a controller. Let me see if we can get those 3 stars. And then I was like, yeah, I got him hooked the rest of the night. It is so addictive of trying to get 3 stars on every level. The actual communication that you need to do that well is awesome. In this game, they added like a throwing mechanic. They added in some different stuff that you can make. And it's really just more Overcooked with a couple new features, which honestly, I'm happy with because Overcooked is awesome. If you need a co-op game to play with somebody, this one also has online, which is big.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest thing, honestly. But if you need a co-op game to play with a friend or 2 other friends or 3 other friends, grab Overcooked 2. It's great.
Yeah.
And the first one, grab both of them.
Well, no, the first one doesn't have online, so
yeah. If you want local, grab the first one.
That's great, but like the adding in online is huge. They should have had that at the beginning. But that throw mechanic adds so much.
It's fun.
like Overcooked is a game about cooking, but it's almost a puzzle game. It is about looking at the environment you are in and going like, how do I make this taco? How do we make this taco?
How do we make this taco the fastest way possible?
And it's like,
it's a mini Destiny raid.
Yeah, like the floors are moving and like magicians are doing stuff all around you, and it's like, okay, I just need to get this beef over to you, who's got the cooker thing, and like you will play it and you'll go through and go like, okay, here's how we can improve. Here's how we can get a couple more out.
Yeah, you finish your first try, and then you're like, okay, here's the plan. You go over here and stay here, and then we're moving. And then they're like, all right, let's try it. And you try different plans until one of them works. It's great. And
that throw mechanic changes what you can do, and it completely changes the way you're viewing these puzzles and what the puzzles can be in really cool ways. The first time I played this with Beckers as part of my Extra Life stream. It was the last game I played. I'd been going 20 hours in, and Beckers was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Also, shout out to Beckers, hashtag GameMate Corp. It's a great podcast. But even as I am out of it, like tired, we were having fun of just like the goofiness of like me just like trying to throw stuff to her, or just like everything's on fire and we're just like, she's just like shouting at me like, just put out the fire, and I'm just like throwing things at, here's ingredients. Like, it's so fun to just try and do stuff. It's so fun to succeed at doing it. And it's so easy to pick up and play. You can literally have friends over and go, here's 4 controllers. Here's what you need to, like, the recipe is cook this, like, it's a taco. Grab a tortilla, cook the meat, have cheese, send it out. And it's so easy to learn. It's so hard to master, and it's so fun to play.
Yep. It's great.
We should do a let's play.
You know
of it.
what? I'm going to put this guy in gameplay, because why not?
Oh yeah, totally.
All right.
I don't think throw mechanic is enough to make it more innovative. I was almost
Then the first one. No.
Yeah, I was going
or
to
online.
I was gonna not mention it, but you ended up mentioning it because I was like, they only added in a couple things, but those are pretty cool things.
Yeah.
Darian,
Tell us about a game that you hated that we loved.
I played Spider-Man.
And I also played Spider-Man, and it was great.
I did too. Okay, so Teddy, why did you like Spider-Man?
Thank you. I was like, who's gonna take it? I'll take it gladly. Spider-Man's awesome. It is my number 2 game on my top 10 games list. And it almost beat God of War, honestly, because God of War is definitely a better game. But personally, I think I might like Spider-Man more because it is more along my style of things. Like, my favorite game of all time is Infamous 2, which is an open world superhero game. Like, it's Spider-Man is very similar to the Infamous series, where it's like, here's a big open world, here's a bunch of completionist little stuff. The traversal is very superhero-y and fun. The music was awesome. The sound design was great. The visuals were very much like just more of like a fun, cartoony in a way art style, which I liked. They weren't going for Horizon or Uncharted 4 or God of War or anything like that. It was more comic booky in a way. The gameplay I really, really enjoyed. The combat was fun. The gadgets got better as you went. And the gadgets became more and more useful as you got into more difficult parts of the game. The story, a lot of people really, really loved, but like, I just kind of liked it. I thought the story was really good. It was a very Spider-Man story. I was very happy about Miles's involvement in the story. It was cool to see Miles there because it very much set him up. Like, at the end, spoilers, I guess, Miles gets bit. And at the end, I thought that was an awesome way to for him to show Peter, is like him on the roof, and then Peter's like, yo, check this out. He's on the roof too.
That scene was cheesy and fun. I did like that
cool.
scene a lot.
And they didn't even say anything. He just like jumped to go on the roof, and then
like,
they just like looked at each other.
I'm having issues Oh, wow. Okay. No, not those issues.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I did think it was very cool. In the one thing in the story that actually made an impact and that was super important is the fact that like there's definitely going to be more of these. Like there's going to be a Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 too. But the cool thing is that like Aunt May's dead. Like it's not necessarily
cool. That was my favorite. The way they killed Aunt May. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah. It's because the most Spider-Man stories do not dare to go there. So, like, they're trying something new. Like, I personally don't have a huge attachment to Aunt May. I mean, she's great.
How can you not?
Here's the thing about it. I don't think they earned it. They killed Aunt May without us caring about Aunt May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her dying was more of a, like, shock thing because you know Aunt May in general as like fans of Spider-Man, you know that that's a big deal that they killed her, right? But like they didn't earn that Aunt May dying. Like when she died, I was not like, oh no, I'm crying. Like it was not an emotional sad moment. It was more of like shit.
They could have made it an emotional sad moment then, and maybe I would have hated the game less.
Yeah, they didn't earn that death.
That game didn't make me feel anything except for rage. I didn't like how shallow the whole game felt. It felt like they took too many things on and didn't deepen enough of them for it to have an impact on me.
I didn't need it to have an impact on me. It's a Spider-Man game. I needed for it to be fun to swing around the city.
I just got to play Spider-Man and swing around New York. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
No, God, fuck. I wasted
1000%.
20 hours of my life and felt nothing but anger.
I felt constant happiness and joy.
Ugh.
Like literally, I was actually going through some not great things at that time, and I was like, oh, fine. I needed to stream that night. I was like, honestly, this will make me feel better. And I hopped on and I played Spider-Man, and I literally just did side missions for like 4 hours of just swinging around the city, and I was just chatting, being like, this is so good. Like this is making me feel better. Like it was therapy. It was awesome.
It feels good to play. I will say, and it's a thing I noticed while watching Darian, and it reminded me of my own experience. It feels really good to play at the end when you have a lot of powers, when you have the ability to swing. Like once you've mastered swinging, because I remember having issues figuring out how to swing early on. Like because
I never did. All you do is hold R2.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. If you want, you can let go of R2 and press it again to like kind of feel more in control of it. But like if you just hold it and hold forward, you'll be fine.
There was plenty of times I was running into buildings and stuff. Once I got like the quick bounce back, and then the second X shoot allowed me to maneuver more easily. And
yeah, there's definitely some stuff that makes it better.
Yeah.
But even early on in the game, this is one praise that I would give it, because I've never done this with another game. As soon as it opened up like a like here are the backpacks, or here is this side mission, or here, like as soon as you unlocked a different type of mission, I immediately went and did all of them, because I just did the side missions as I went. So then it's like, all right, main story time, like let's go. Like the backpacks opened up and I'm like, all right, 4 hours of swinging around getting these backpacks, which is rare. Like I don't normally do that.
But like they just kept adding them.
Yeah, there was more and more.
And it eventually got overwhelming. Like there is too much side content going on right now.
The thing is like that is very much the type of game that I am used to. Like that's Assassin's Creed, that's Infamous, like that's a lot of open world, like very, very gamey open worlds of like Assassin's Creed and Infamous are very like checklist kind of thing. So that's exactly what I'm used to, and my OCD loves it. So I was like, ooh, give me more check marks to check off.
Yeah, maybe that's another reason I didn't like it, is because I'm bad at open world games. I can't handle them.
Dude, I totally get that. When I first started playing open world games, I was always like, I would always either mainline the story and do like none of the side missions, and then I'd be like underleveled and whatnot, or I would get so focused on the side missions I'd never do the main mission, and then I like everything seemed off and kind of weird pacing wise. So the more of them you play, the more like you get used to it, and you kind of like learn what's best for you. Like I remember I played through all of the Assassin's Creed games in one summer, up until Revelations. I played all those in one summer, and I started off, like, I played Assassin's Creed, I think this was in 2. Like, I started doing side missions and whatnot, but as the story got better, I started, like, forgetting everything and was like, I'm just doing the story. And then eventually I was like, if I like this game and if I want it to last, I need to do everything. So I had to, like, make myself be self-controlled and do the other stuff first. And it's a balancing act. For sure.
See, the last time I played Skyrim, I went so hard in a side mission that I forgot what the main mission was.
Yeah.
And I fell down the rabbit hole
sometimes.
And I was just like, well, I feel satisfied. I finished this side mission. Oh, that's not the game? That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
The story of Spider-Man 2, of Spider-Man PS4 sucks. I did not. There were moments that I thought were cool. The category, the only category that I feel like, there's a good argument. I will also have a good argument for against would be gameplay. Spider-Man would be nominated for gameplay. Other than that, I don't think so.
I would throw a soundtrack because I really like the music of it.
Maybe. Yeah,
I liked the sound design better. The music was okay.
Yeah, the sound design was great because there's two different things. Of one, the music swelling as you start swinging.
Oh, yeah.
And then also when you are swinging and you're talking on the phone, he's like exasperated, like his voice is like he's swinging. And then as soon as you land, it'll like transition to like talking normally. They recorded all of that twice, which is
That's cool. Yeah, I'll suggest throwing in there. I will say that I played the first DLC for Spider-Man PS4, and I like the story of that better. And I think
I've heard the first DLC has a good story.
What I hear is that the third DLC is supposed to be the best of them.
That's good.
So it was like, and people were down on the DLCs, so I was like, I love the first DLC, so if you say that it gets better, then yes. I also think that it's because that they were more self-contained about it, of like this is a smaller story that like it seemed like the main story was stretched thin. Like they took a small story and stretched it too far. Whereas they were able to nail the small notes in the DLC.
I love Spider-Man. I will not fight for the story. I did also like the story, but I will not fight for it here. Like, I don't love it that much enough to put it up to bed.
I think the strongest thing is about the gameplay, and we'll talk about that in that category.
Okay, so you know at the end of the game, when you're up against Silver Sable and like you go and you're fucking with her her people.
So gotta throw that in nomination for most
you
fuckable.
As Peter Parker are having sex with all of the Sable agents.
Oh my god.
You may not You may not remember that part of the game, but I remember. Pepperidge Farms remembers.
I see why Darian has a very different opinion than us. She was playing a different.
Maybe I got the wrong game. Okay, no. Silver Sable, all right? Her character 180 in the game actually pissed me off. Because, like, throughout the game, she was very, very just really aggressive toward you, and like all of a sudden there was just one mission and then she's on your side.
Yeah.
That made no sense at all from a character standpoint.
Yeah, very much. It's
literally just made it feel bad.
I don't know how many of the different like side missions that you did, but personally I remember different moments of her being like, I don't know. Like there were moments that it was not fully laid in like missions of like here's her being very conflicted, but like there were phone calls over the radio and like she had talked with Peter or Spider-Man, and I don't know. It was definitely a pretty fast 180, but I did not think it was ridiculous.
Oh god, Teddy doesn't know that Peter's Spider-Man.
Somebody's gotta break it to him.
So wait, so in the side missions, they explain that a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think I've played many of the side missions.
Because, I gave up on the side missions late game, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is she all of a sudden on my side? This
I have
makes
had
no
I
sense.
remember interactions with her where she was like talking with him more. And
Yeah, it's
like,
the one mission where you work together.
Not just that one mission.
It's the
It's not just that one mission. Maybe I'm
I
crazy.
didn't have any interactions at all that would have led to this discussion or to this flip.
Well, the whole thing was
it just
her
went.
just being military, like she was just trying to do her job, and then
Also,
when she
the
realized,
thing that made no sense is it was her fucking group. They were her army, and she was like, "Well, I can't do anything. They're in there." Like, what? You're in charge. You're the
I don't remember.
boss.
gone rogue. Yeah, when she decided to flip, of like I'm leaving, and Spider-Man's like, well, I'll be sad to see your guys gone, and she's like, no, they're staying. I'm
Yeah,
leaving.
like I can't tell them to leave. It's too late. Like, what? Bitch! Yes, you can! It's yours! Hello?
maybe they were already attached to the mission. Maybe she just wanted to leave the company and left it up to somebody else. I don't know.
To make it worse, from my
Her name was
understanding, in
Silver
DLC
Sable.
2,
It was hers.
she comes back in DLC 2 and apparently is against Spider-Man again.
Oh my fucking god. What the actual fuck?
Yeah, I feel like they were like trying, because Silver Sable is a hero. So I feel like they were like, oh, they wanted her to be a hero by the end of the story, but then like they put her in the DLC and she's like, oh, we still want to have her as a thing. So
I would revisit that game as Miles Morales, I think.
I think it's very possible that the next game you play as him more, and he is like Spider-Man, like you play as like two Spider-Men.
I don't want that. I don't want to
Spider-Man.
play Peter Parker anymore. Fuck him.
He's a good-looking
Ruined.
guy, you know what I mean?
spoiler, from what I hear, by the DLC 3, he's in the suit.
Miles is?
Miles is in the
Don't
suit in
spoil
DLC
the
3.
DLC. I was gonna play it.
This is spoiler talks.
Yeah, but I not about DLC. That I
Sorry,
have
guys.
played.
You should have clarified what you didn't want spoiled. Hey, I don't want any of the rest of the games that we talk about spoiled for me. I'm planning on playing all of them.
Hey guys, I'm gonna spoil Tetris Effect now.
Oh, great.
Hey, you guys know that Tetris, a game that came out in like 80s it was hot on the Game Boy? This is the same thing,
Yeah, I have heard.
but if you were doing LSD the entire time. And it's the same old Tetris. I mean, they've expanded on Tetris a little bit over the years where they've got like holds and stuff, but this is basically a game designed to like make you mesmerized by the soundtrack, by the visuals. It's just playing the normal Tetris of lining up the blocks and having the lines disappear. But as you do that, the soundtrack starts to pick up, like the beats go faster, and then the singing starts coming in, and the visuals, like there's colorful light. I don't even know how to describe. Like each stage has different visuals, but they all have cool songs and cool visuals as you play. It's really hard to describe. You just watch the trailer for it and it'll give you a cool experience, but it's really cool.
It'll give you a complex.
Number one, soundtrack. It's going nominated for soundtrack. Gameplay, can't say, because it's Tetris. They add one thing and allows you to slow down time to allow you to get more Tetrises. I guess when you clear 4 lines at a time, that's called a Tetris. And they'll allow you to basically stop time and allow you to clear several lines at once, and get like, Tetra 5-ness. And stuff. I'm barely able to clear lines, so I'm not great at it, but it's still really cool to play because it's so visually and auditorily awesome. It's cool. And if you just want to chill out and play a cool game and see cool stuff, play Tetris Effect. I'll throw it in for best visuals too. Visuals and soundtrack, that's where it nails it. Other than that,
Yeah.
it's Tetris.
Shout out to Tetris, dude. It's a great game. Always have been, always will be. You know what is a good game, but I don't know about great. I mean, I quite enjoyed it. Far Cry 5. Not gonna spend too long on this. It's number 8 on my list, but it was quite an enjoyable Far Cry. Ubisoft open world is a bunch of stuff, but I really did like the setting of it and the. I don't know. I hadn't played a Far Cry game in a long enough time that it was really fun. And that is definitely one of those games that I'm like, if at any point I want like an open world game that I'm like kind of just craving and a checklist open world game, I could open up Far Cry 5 and still have fun. Like I actually did a couple like last week. I was like, ooh, look at this. And I played for like a 30 minutes or something. But yeah, Far Cry 5 is really fun. I definitely want to go back and beat it at some point. It is a pretty standard Ubisoft kind of thing. But I do like the companions. That's definitely different, the companion system and all that. You can get a dog named Boomer, and he's adorable, and you can pet him. It's great. Game of the year. You can pet a dog.
Done. I'll stand behind that.
Nominations?
He said game of the year.
Okay, slap it in that category. And
also, yeah, we actually
have the first thing in that category. So I mean,
we actually haven't been putting anything in. God of War
should be in there for sure. First of all,
hold on,
I'm you want Spider-Man there as well.
I'm gonna throw in God of War.
Detroit. Detroit shouldn't be game of the year. It was a good game. It was not game of the year.
I mean, we already know what's game of the year,
let's have the discussion. We do, but I'm just doing this just for fun. Okay, and
let's have a discussion about God of War. Okay, done.
Put in Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm gonna nominate Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not gonna win it because I haven't played enough, but I'll throw it.
You won't even stand on it. What makes you think the two who haven't played it?
I want to be able to ring up Rockstar when I see them, and I want to be like, hey. Your video game was nominated for Ready Set Gamecast Game of the Year. It didn't win, but good job.
That? It was not good enough.
Yeah. Maybe next year you can impress us, but not this time.
With another game.
Oh my God, don't do that. Darian, bring up another game that you hated that I quite enjoyed, but both of you hated it this time.
We cooperatively hated. We worked together to hate it. I spent a great deal of time talking about wanting to bang Darian's character.
That's true.
Did you?
It was really funny.
Okay.
Our characters made a lot of really suggestive remarks to each other, and it was just like, oh, Jesus, calm down.
I don't know. I think
they both had wives.
They actually didn't make suggestive remarks, but they could be twisted into suggestive remarks very easily.
We took things that were just like...
We are children, so...
Just like, hand me that broom, and I'll be like, oh, I got a place where you can put that broom.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
You're finding every excuse to make it sexual.
Yeah, it was pretty great. It was a good time.
Nice.
Anyway, we're talking about A Way Out, which was a bad game.
We're talking about A Way Out, which in my opinion was a great game.
I love when Darian introduces the games. She just paints a picture.
A very vivid, beautiful image that you can get in
Thank
your
you for
head.
noticing.
Okay, Teddy. You painted
Your turn.
good.
I quite enjoyed A Way Out.
You tried to show me up here.
What was good? What was good about it?
We've talked about it before, but all I will say is that I played this game with my best friend Andrew over the interwebs. I have over half of it uploaded to YouTube, and the rest of it will be eventually.
The rest of it is just in the ether, and you will never find it.
It's uploaded. All I need to do is put tags and descriptions on it and make it public. I just haven't done that yet. But
maybe one day.
It's all done though. It's all gonna be on there eventually, very soon, hopefully. But for now, go catch up before the rest of it's there. YouTube.com/TeddyShares. But yeah, me and Andrew played it, and we played it in one session. Like we sat down, I think on a Saturday, and just played through all of it. I really liked it. It is a co-op game where each of you play one character, and it's split screen through the middle, top to bottom. But then sometimes the split screen, this is what's cool personally, is that sometimes like when they want you to pay more attention to what's happening on Vincent's side or on Leo's side, like they'll up the audio on that one, cut the audio down on that one, and then they'll like move the split screen over to make it bigger. And like sometimes it'll move the split screen of like left to right, and sometimes it'll like twist it, and it all personally, you guys said it was like more distracting than anything, but for me it was like totally didn't distract me at all. Like it moved my attention where I needed to. Like me and Andrew, while playing the whole time, were like, they're doing really good with the audio and all this. And then I talked to them later, and they're like, the audio sucked. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's because it didn't. I feel like we didn't have the same experience, because whenever it did that to us, it didn't mute them enough. So like I could hear Bryce talking to some guy in the back about playing cards or some shit.
I mean, you can
and
still
I was like,
hear it. It's
this
just
is
low.
not important.
I will say,
And
I
Bryce
think
was also out to make a troll experience out of it anyway.
I feel like
So-
we were trying to push the game to make our own fun, and that broke the game.
That will,
Because like literally
Yeah.
it would be like, look at what Darian's up to, and I'd just be like spinning around in the background.
yeah, that'll definitely break an immersive experience. Me and Andrew were actually just like sitting down trying to listen to the story and all that. It definitely has a lot of moments throughout the story that were very cliche and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Crack her open.
At the end, the whole time, like even at the beginning, me and Andrew at one point in like the first 20 minutes were like, yo, what if we kill each other? What if
my
by the end of
God.
this game we kill each other? And then but like we had technically guessed kind of what was gonna happen the whole time. And then even at the end when it happened, we were like, oh shit. Like we had guessed the whole time, but the way it happened was cool. And I definitely liked how at the end, when you're fighting each other, there's like the moment we were like, oh man, I don't want to kill him. I don't want to kill you. We've gone through this whole adventure together. Like we don't want to fight each other. And then at the end, at the moment, like this part is actually not on YouTube, but it will be soon. The moment the health bars both pop up for both of us, we immediately were like, ah, damn it. Like we were hoping it wouldn't make us actually fight. And then the health bars pop up and we're like, ah, fuck. There was actually a glitch in the final fight, so I will give you guys that. There was a moment where we had to like restart it, but we came back into it and just continued.
See, that part I hated the most because I'm bad at video games, and Bryce is not as bad at video games, and it was like, this isn't even going to be fair. I don't know what my ending's going to be if I win, because I'm not going to win. Like, this is so dumb.
Andrew the whole time kept doing all the mini games where you had to just tap square a bunch.
That's
so he
what
got
Bryce
really
did too.
He got really good at like spamming square, and at the final bit where it comes down to a square fight, I was like, oh no, it's a square fight, he's gonna win. And then he did.
I had way too much health that she would not have, even if she was the greatest square hitter in the world. Like, Darian went into that of like, oh no, just kill me, just get this over.
Yeah,
like she was
I was
over
pretty
it.
disappointed. I was like, fuck this. I don't want this.
But if I were to put this in any category, I would actually put it in most innovative.
Yeah.
Because I think people can definitely take, like, the whole time me and Andrew kept going, we're having fun with this, and then we would be like, but I really hope this makes a lot of money, because if they refine a lot of this, like, it's good, but like a lot of it could be polished to be a lot better. And that would be awesome for a sequel, could be like polished way better. And there's a lot of like I think just the split screen mechanic of like playing where you can see both of them was really cool, and they could definitely evolve that. So
I like the premise of the game a lot. I think that some of it was just executed a little bit poorly and ruined the experience for me. Like, I think ultimately it was a really well-made game. But
yeah.
I very much give you most innovative. If you've tried to go best gameplay, I would say no way, because
The only other one I would have done would have been story, but I was like, I'm not.
See, the story, like, I felt like it was like, oh, it's building towards something, and if they stayed on the road that they were going, it could have been an interesting story. But I feel like the twist was just like, any like friendship they built was like, oh, none of this matters.
Lies.
That's what made the twist matter. That's the whole point.
And like at the end, I was like, I don't feel like any of this bonding meant anything. It just felt like nothing.
That's why the bonding meant something, is because the twist, the bonding makes the twist more impactful. At least that's the idea.
It's
but
supposed
it
to
did
hurt
for us.
more, but like it felt so ingenuine.
It's okay
it just
if that
felt
moment
like
fell
it was
flat for you guys, but it hit. For
I
us.
also don't feel like he deserved to die for his crimes. Like
who?
The other co-op partner, the crime boy.
Leo.
Yeah, I don't remember their names either.
Yeah, one was the undercover cop and one was actual crime boy.
I think Vincent is the cop and Leo's the crime boy.
Yeah, I think so.
I think.
But the game, the developer bragged about it of like, you're gonna do things and you're gonna do it once and you're never gonna do it again. And because of that, they did so many things, but they did them badly. All of them, they were like, they're doing so many things that they don't nail any of them.
Yeah, agreed. They just experimented with too many things, and like it felt a little bit wonky.
That's the thing where I kept saying like I hope this makes money so that they can polish the next one, is because like the shooting was bad.
Oh,
Shooting was awful.
I'll give you that. It was bad.
Yo, fuck
Me and
those
Andrew the whole time
missions.
we're like, how is it this bad? But like the like you get in a car and the steering's not great.
Driving's
and,
bad.
Like, it's just like there's a bunch of different mechanics that like a lot of games, like there are games that are racing games, like there are games that are first person shooters where it's like that's the thing that they do best. And this team like was trying to do a lot of them and just, weren't ready for it.
yeah.
I don't think. There was also one moment that I find hilarious where the cops were like shooting from a bridge and they were like running down this hill to follow them, and Vincent and Leo get in a wooden rowboat and then it fades to black.
Get away.
I love that moment so much. Me and Andrew were like, wait. Because they're shooting at them like they could just shoot the boat and then there's a hole and then the boat sinks. They were just like, get in here, we'll row away quickly. But it was good.
Darian was so pissed that you could play Connect 4 in the hospital.
I loved it. We were like, yo, fucking Connect 4, let's go. I was like, I'm gonna beat your ass.
She's like, we are hiding from the
dude.
cops and we have to go do this thing. Why are we allowed to play Connect
It's a
4
video
right
game.
now?
Why is this
'Cause it's a
happening?
video game.
What the fuck? There's no sense of urgency. Fuck it. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Yes, that is video games. Unless you're playing a single player narrative linear game like Uncharted or Last of Us, there's always shit like that. In any open world or not even open world, like God of War, you could just go do side missions and like, but to be fair, that's one thing that's good about God of War, is that the main story isn't really urgent. Like there's no time on the main story, so like you kind of can fuck off.
Your mom's ashes aren't going anywhere.
On the run, being chased by cops. I am a fugitive. Let me just stop and play Connect 4. What?
It's also optional. You don't have to stop and play Connect 4.
The worst part is that you don't even get caught when you do it. Like, give me a consequence. Make me feel bad for making this bad decision. Like, put some weight behind the decisions you're letting me make.
I don't agree with Darian at all.
No,
on
that doesn't make any sense. It's a video game.
Anyway,
Video game. All video games.
I also just did not enjoy that game, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah. It was fun to fuck around. The story and the gameplay, I felt frustrated with many of those things, but it was fun to just kind of mess around with your friend. A game that just feels good to play is a little game called Beat Saber, available on the VR headsets.
Weird.
It is a very simple game to play. You are playing songs. It comes with set songs. If you're on PC, you can get a little tricky and get some custom songs in there. But both of your controllers are different lightsabers, basically, and you have to slash these blocks that are coming at you, Guitar Hero style. And like you have to swipe them different ways, and you have to swipe them with the right colored saber, and they're in the beat of the song, and it's just fun to play. Like there are other VR games that do you kind of interacting with songs like this, but they kind of nail the beat, and they nail so many like little things that it's hard to kind of say what about it feels so good, but they kind of nailed the little things that it feels so good to play. And the soundtrack's pretty good. Like, I would say this is best soundtrack, best gameplay. I can't say it's most innovative because like it kind of, I mean, when you're talking VR, everything's most innovative.
Yeah.
But it's
everything's
a
new.
simple concept, but they did it really well. And it's just
I
fun.
want to play it so bad. It's like the one reason why I want VR is Beat Saber.
I'm considering getting a PS VR headset just for the Astro Bot's Rescue. Everything else is going to come to Vive eventually.
Yeah. You know what's another game that feels great to play? Destiny 2. And this is just a quick one. I just want to throw out that Forsaken really brought Destiny back to, maybe not even back to, like Destiny is kind of in the best place it's ever been in right now. Like for the hardcore community, the player that I kind of used to be, but sadly can't be anymore because of time commitment. Like, it really kills me when I look at Forsaken and when I see like my friends play it and how much fun they're having with it, and I see like the things that they're chasing and all this. When I see all that and I just realize how little time I have and that I can't really play it barely at all, and if I can, it's super casually. Like, it really bums me out because like if somebody had told me when I was playing Destiny 1 so hardcore that Destiny 2 would be like here, it'd be in this place with these features and all this, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm gonna be so excited, I'm gonna play the shit out of that. But like, I just can't because of life. But like, apparently not the newest anymore at this point. At this point, I'm 2 raids behind. I haven't done 2 raids. You know what that means? It's really sad for me. But the last wish that came with Forsaken, and now what is it? The Scourge of something? I don't even know. I think it's the Scourge of the Past. The Last Wish is apparently like really good. Like, it's apparently one of, if not the best raid in Destiny, which is saying something. And I've always said that raids in Destiny are some of my favorite content in video games ever. Like, raiding in Destiny is a totally unique feeling to anything I've ever done. And it's awesome. So I do want to eventually play Last Wish and Scourge. But for now, I gotta play super casually. But I do want to get back into it eventually. But I just wanted to shout that out because Destiny is in such a great place. They definitely still have some problems that, now people are starting to see some of the problems. Some people are starting to think that they swung the pendulum too far onto the hardcore side and like need to find a little bit more of a balance. But yeah, Destiny 2 is in a really good place right now. And now with Activision leaving, or with Bungie leaving Activision, could be in a better place too. It's exciting.
You know what else is exciting? Being able to play a video game in an afternoon.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's what I tried to do with a game called Gris. This is a short, I think it's about 3 or 4 hours. I got maybe down to the 15 minutes and was like, I kind of want to stop. I think I had to call it a night, and then I came back and beat it real quick at the end. But it's, I guess, like, I maybe wouldn't have picked that up based on my own gameplay, but other people are like, this is a game about loss and despair. And it's basically, you start off, there's a little cutscene that plays, and then you are just kind of walking through white. And it is all like hand drawn, or at least it feels that way. And then like the backgrounds are all it feels like watercolor, I guess. Like the backgrounds feel watercolor painted, and then the drawing, I guess, I don't really know how that works, but like it's kind of like somebody draws over watercolor. And you start off with like no abilities. You're just like walking, and when you try and press X to jump, you just fall down. And then after a while, you're just like basically crawling along. And then after a little bit, you're able to like start running, and then you finally learn or are able to jump, and then it's a platformer. And then you visit these different worlds.
It's a platformer, but you don't know how to platform.
Well, like eventually you like it's you have to like relearn how to be you.
Sure.
Because at the beginning, she's sings and does stuff, and that's one of the last things you end up learning to be able to do. And you visit these different areas that have unique styles and different mechanics based on what you currently are able to do. At one point, like you start off being able to jump, then you can turn into a rock, like Kirby style, because there'll be this wind that keeps pushing you back. So then you have to use your new rock ability to stay where you are, and then have to keep pushing against the wind as it dies down and make your opportunity. And then you learn how to push through the water, and all these different abilities that kind of change the gameplay and keep it interesting over that like 3 to 4 hours that you're playing. And along with that, each stage, each area, I guess each chapter, you unlock a new color. So you start off with basically black and white. Like everything's the backgrounds are black, or the backgrounds are white, and like everything's drawn lines of black. And then you unlock I think it's red, green, blue. So yeah, you unlock red, and then things start filling in with red, like the background that has red in it, and things that would be red, and then you get green, and then you get blue, and then by the end, this world that was beautiful on its own is now colorful and lively, and you now have these abilities to transverse it in really interesting ways. And I will say, there is one cool scene where you're in the water, and it's kind of like this. I don't know if you can lose it, but there was a moment where you're being chased, and the way the soundtrack played, and this creature being so close to you and snapping down, that it felt like if I stopped tapping the dash button, I would die. And especially with the soundtrack going and how close, and it felt so intense. And then when that finally stopped, like I just like let loose a deep breath of air, because I had just been holding because of how intense it was. Very cool. It's just, I think it's designed to just kind of be like, sit down and play it in one shot and get that cool story. Visuals, definitely, because it's got that great watercolor animation. Everything feels purposeful. And I'll go sound design. I will go sound design, because they make use of the sounds, and there's actually, your singing becomes a mechanic later on. I will say it deserves those 2 categories.
All right, cool.
Last one, Teddy.
Yeah, I'll throw out my last game very quickly. I think it's number 10 on my list. Yeah, Destiny was number 9. Into the Breach is I think it's on PC and on Switch. It is a little 8x8 tactical grid-based strategy game, but it's easy to play in small chunks. The best way to describe it, and the reason why I like it so much, is like every single turn is just like, you get given a turn, it's very clear what the robots, you're like Actually, you're against bugs, and you are mechs. It's like mechs versus bugs, or robots versus bugs. So like every time a turn starts, it's very clear what the bugs are gonna do. It's like they're gonna attack right here, and then one's gonna leap over here, and it like telegraphs all of it. And you have a little bit of time with 3 of your robots to decide what to do about it. And sometimes you can manipulate them into hitting each other. Sometimes you can push them away. It's very much like, okay, this is my turn. What is the best option out of all of my possible moves? It's like every bit is like a chess turn. It's just like I have to analyze the field, figure out what to do, and then like you make all your moves, you hit end turn, and then you're like, okay, I think it's okay. And like when you complete everything successfully and nothing gets hit, it's like the best feeling in the world. When you look at a turn and go, this is impossible. Like something's gonna get hit, and then you find just the right way to make it so that nothing gets hit. It's like it's crack. It's the best. So I do definitely want to keep playing more Into the Breach.
Tage Nurse is on crack. You heard it here first.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I'm throwing it into gameplay for sure. Yeah. And that's all the games, ladies and gentlemen.
Any last minute games that you just loved and wanted to say, hey, I like that game? I will say Donut County. It's you can probably play. I played that in one sitting. I was like, it was a lazy Sunday morning. I was messing around with my NVIDIA Shield and testing out what I could stream, and was like, let me try this game. And I just played through the whole thing in bed, and it's really funny, and it's so simple, and it's just a cool game to just play and have a good time with it and laugh, and the story's cool.
Yeah.
So Florence?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Florence. How did we not mention that?
I was gonna remind you guys of that. I still have it on my phone. I haven't played it yet.
Darian, you want to tell us about Florence? Are we not?
Florence is like a half-hour experience, and it's kind of like a visual novel, and it's about you, I guess, essentially play as a girl who falls in love, moves in, and it's
try and be careful on spoilers with me.
And a lot of stuff happens. No, yeah, I shouldn't spoil that.
It's just a game about being in a relationship and what.
Yeah, I have an idea of what happens.
Yeah,
it's really pretty.
Yeah,
they do a lot of really good communication without any dialogue at all. It's all visual.
I love the way that they both demonstrated like learning to be able to talk easily, like how you are like struggling to find words, and then because they had a puzzle thing where you had to put together speech bubbles to be able to like demonstrate like finding the words, and then after you did that enough, it just became like the whole speech bubble. You just had to drag the complete speech bubble into the thing, and it was easy, and then it just did it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to like tell that like both demonstrate these feelings that you have if you've been in a big relationship, like when you're moving in and having to figure out like, okay, we have 2 toasters, like whose toaster stays. Like this has been my toaster my entire life, and it's like, this is dumb, but like you care about it, so like and it gives the player like a box of stuff, and you're like moving into your boyfriend's house, and like, oh, do I move his stuff? Do I put my stuff in? Like, you want to be, you want to have your mark on the place, but not, take away from his thing. And they encapsulate a relationship without saying anything and just through gameplay. And it's so smart. I think
I'm
that
excited.
It deserves a shot. Most innovative.
Yeah. All right.
Darian, agreed. Soundtrack.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. There's too much strong competition for soundtrack. It's just fun to listen to on Spotify. But innovative. I'll throw in Florence, a mobile game.
While you were saying that, I was really kind of trying to think back on the year. fucking Black Ops 4, I've played a lot of. It's a solid Call of Duty. Like, there's definitely some problems with it, but it's a solid Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is like my roots. So, it's solid. It's a lot of problems. It definitely came out way too soon. A lot of people really love Blackout. I'm not a huge Blackout guy. 2018 was kind of like Fortnite was really huge. And I played a good bit of Fortnite earlier in 2018. Like, I'm trying to think way back, like at the beginning of 2018, I played a good bit. What else was it? Monster Hunter World came out. I did not play too much of it, but I want to go back one day. It's never gonna happen. But I do have it. I do own Monster Hunter World. A lot of people love that game. What was the other one? There was one other I was gonna bring up. I always play Halo 5 multiplayer. I am still playing that whenever I need a game that just feels good for first-person shooter, base, arena, multiplayer, 4v4. It's awesome. But I don't have gold at the moment, so I can't even play it whenever I want to. I hop on random MMOs all the time. I hopped on some MOBAs throughout the year. I'm sure Darian played a lot of League.
No, I gave up on League halfway through the year.
That's still like half of the year, though. I'm trying to think way back.
Darian's a Dead by Daylight streamer now.
I haven't played Dead by Daylight in a week either.
Yeah, because
actually.
You're getting ready for Kingdom
It's a
Hearts. And then once Kingdom Hearts is done, then you'll be back to that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know about that. They're doing some really weird things that I don't agree with as a Survivor main, as a bad Survivor main. So I think the game might be too much for me now.
But yeah, I'm just trying to think of other games that I play. I randomly just play a bunch of MMOs. Like I re-downloaded Lord of the Rings Online recently. I actually want to play that again. Elder Scrolls Online. I actually had a good bit in the summer where I played ESO for like 2 months with a bunch of friends. Guild Wars 2. I played with my girlfriend a good bit on Guild Wars 2, like still. What else? World of Warcraft every now and then. There's a bunch of games that I hop in all the time. I have played Super Hexagon since I first bought a PC and like when I was like 15, and I will forever play Super Hexagon. Bunch of games like that. Stardew Valley on the Switch I played a lot of. Yeah. So it's been a good year.
Time to pick the best for the categories. Let's
go through.
We will start off with best visuals. The nominations are Celeste, God of War, Moss, Tetris Effect, and Gris. I'll take Moss off. And Moss has great atmosphere, and I did honestly spend. What's cool is that there'll be different areas that'll have like little bonus secret things that you can find. And I was literally stood up and was looking at the architecture of the little diorama and was like, oh, there's a secret here, which I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't like literally getting up to examine the cool details of the world.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I don't think it does something that amazing. It's not like unique. It's just cool. So I'll take that off.
It does look very pretty. I'm looking up all of these.
Celeste, I mean, it's all right.
Honestly, I would vote for Celeste. Celeste is my pick. I personally way prefer, like, when we're talking about visuals, it also includes art style. I think Celeste looks awesome. It's the color palette and the characters when they pop up are like little cartoon portraits that look great, and and mixed with the pixel is cool.
I found that upsetting, the fact that inconsistent design.
I think it actually meshes surprisingly well with the 16-bit and then the little cartoons.
God of War is technically, like, from a technical standpoint, is cool. It's not like uniquely and honestly, in terms of really great visuals, Detroit is more realistic.
Yeah, I don't know.
I agree.
About that.
Detroit definitely looked more realistic, more like a movie, but I liked God of War's world a lot more.
I liked its style better. A lot better. We don't have Detroit on here. I wouldn't even.
Yeah.
Like, Detroit looks fine. It looks really good, but like the art style is just kind of. There's no specific flair to it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna have not really a specific flair to it, it needs to be the best looking realistic style that there is on the market.
Yeah.
And Detroit is not.
Gris is cool visually,
It's very
but
pretty.
I didn't have like, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Not like I am completely blown away, so I'll take Gris off. It's really cool, not the greatest.
It's very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only game that I played on this list of God of War is God of War. And
I will say, for the visual people, my background is Tetris Effect. So if you're like, hey, I want to vote for the one that is Bryce's background, it's Tetris Effect. It looks real dope.
Tetris Effect does look very, very cool.
Yeah, I showed Darian the trailer for it. I think she thought it was cool, but then she was just like, okay, I want to eat my sandwich now.
I was more
Sounds all right.
interested in the psychological study that the trailer presented to me than the game itself.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I wanted to get a psychology degree.
So
The more you know.
here's okay, in terms of visuals, how are we defining that?
You made these groups.
We are a team, Darian. We as a
No, we're not.
wow.
We should go to the Game Awards and see how they define it. That's what we should
Because
do.
we are the Game Awards. We were
We were here first.
Hey man, we talked earlier about how everything we do is stolen from other people, so let's see, what do they say? Well, they have art direction.
Yeah.
For outstanding For outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation.
Technical achievement, God of War.
Creative or technical. So that's the same thing basically.
It is. Also, I will say at the last bit where we were talking about throwing out like some last few games, forgot to mention my only like honorable mention I would throw out is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The game was very fun. Only played it for like 2 hours. I'm gonna put more time into it this year, but like if I had spent more time, that'd probably be higher on my list. But yeah, that they have that on art direction, so it reminded me.
I don't think I can give it to God of War. God of War is interesting, but I didn't play that going like, oh, this is so pretty.
I played it looking like, okay, when there is the big when like the first like what is it? When you come out of like when you're like climbing the mountain like from the inside, you know what I mean? And you're going up like that elevator, and then at the end there's like the fucking dragon thing. That boss fight, I was like, holy shit, this looks incredible. Like, there were multiple moments where I was like, this looks absolutely incredible.
If you're willing to go God of War, the two of you can take it.
He wants to give it to Celeste, though.
That's
how I felt through the whole game, though. I was blown away.
Yeah,
by God of War.
It looks very good at all times. But even, I don't know, like, I would be sitting and I would be, like, playing Celeste before class and, like, be struggling and, like, mad at the game because it was so hard. And I'd be like, but it's really pretty. It, like, soothed me. But I'll go God of War.
Okay.
I think that is the best choice.
That's weird. I feel like that's how David feels about me. Just struggling with how frustrating it is, but at least she's really pretty.
Oh, my God. Well, we did learn that you'll never be able to love David again, so.
Right.
Feels bad, man.
At least she's really pretty.
Darian, since you've got the most nominations in the next category, can you take us through it?
Oh, it's true.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, we've got best sound design. No, actually, I mean, and I agree with all these, to be honest. So, the nominees are Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War.
We should have gotten trophies. Like fake trophies that we could be like, and the award goes to.
Right. And then maybe we can get Kratos and Atreus' voice actors to come up on stage and read it.
That would be great.
And do the thing.
Where would the
Maybe
stage
they'll be in my apartment and I'll just be like, and here they are.
Yeah.
They'll walk in. Be great.
Teddy's house.
I will say I was watching the House with a Clock in His Wall, and the voice actor for Atreus is in that movie, and he's an asshole.
Fun. Oh, not fun.
I was just like, Atreus, stop being a jerk. Atreus, what are you doing?
Anyway, so we were talking about
Best sound design.
best sound design. We've got Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Detroit Become Human, Spider-Man, and Griff's. I would stand
have my
behind
vote.
Spider-Man, actually. Surprisingly enough, because it was just so fluid. The gameplay itself was just so fluid. Like Teddy had mentioned, when you're swinging, the music is dynamic.
Yeah,
The
it's pretty
way
neat.
that the dialogue is delivered while swinging versus not swinging, depending on what action you're taking. The different audio cues for everything were pretty good too. Like, I did like the sound design. That was one of the first things that I noticed when I started playing, was how well the sounds were.
I always hate it whenever you go to do like an audio log or something, and then you go to back out of the menu and it stops. But like in Spider-Man, whenever you're like listening to him talk about the backpack, I'm pretty sure it does stop when you go out, but he only says like 1 or 2 sentences about each backpack. So I'm like, okay, just listen for a quick second and then go. It's very, they took that into account. They didn't want you sitting there forever. But yeah, my vote would be Spider-Man. I think the sound design in God of War was really good, but like I only really think about it when it comes to the axe. Like I don't really think about anything else with sound design. I know it definitely was there, but like the thing that stood out to me is the axe.
No, I haven't played Red Dead. God of War does have a lot of cool, like, distinct sounds. Like when you're in the room with the tree. I haven't played the game in a month, and now I can't remember what anything is.
It's been like since it came out for me, so like 6 months or more.
Gosh, yeah, but I just have really bad
Time is just moving too fast. I was looking at the games that came out in January, and I was like, that feels like it was like 3 years ago.
Black Panther came out in 2018, and nobody can grasp that because it's been a hell of a year.
Yep.
It's true. What game did you see that you thought came out forever ago?
Night in the Woods.
Detroit came out in January, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, Night in the Woods, I was like, that was forever ago. And I was looking at the Wikipedia articles, like,
oh, it was May. Jesus.
They counted anything that, like, if it came out on a new platform, they were counting it, but it was like, Night in the Woods. No, wow.
Yeah. Huh.
I'd be willing to fight for Red Dead Redemption 2, but because you guys haven't played it, like, it's hard to be like, hey, yeah, it sounds so good. Because, like,
yeah,
they nailed the atmospheric. Like, they have so many sounds in there. They, like, every animal sounds right. I would literally, like, you could probably hunt based on sound.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a bear, and I would literally be like, I can hear the bear. There's a bear over there.
You sounded very Canadian there. Oh. I can hear the beer.
The beer.
and yeah, it's so cool to just, like, when you're traveling between areas, just turn on the cinematic camera and just, like, hear the world and your horse just going along. And the music, in terms of sound design in combination with music, they know when to play those songs, and they know when to not play the songs. Because when you're in the wilderness, like, there will be times where you're traveling on the main road where they will play a song. But when I was in the wilderness hunting, there was nothing but the animal noises and, like, the sound of the wind and stuff. I was like, I'm surprised that there's no music, but I was also like, it makes sense. Like, it feels like I am in the wilderness. This isn't, I'm having story stuff. I am hunting. It is me in the wild. And, like, you start off in the cold or in the winter in this mountain, and the way the wind blew, and, like, I felt cold because of how they, like, both the whiteness and the snow, but so much of the sound just makes you feel like you're there. it's hard to make the like it's hard to I can describe to you what I've heard, but you'd either have to believe me that it's better than Spider-Man, or I'm willing to succumb to the greater vote.
I wish I could believe you. I do believe you, but I haven't experienced it myself, And I gotta experience it to really fight for it. So I'm gonna go for Spider-Man.
Darian?
I mean, I already said I was voting for Spider-Man. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that Detroit does have a lot of really pretty design choices that fit in with the theme of the game. Like, thematically, it just has a lot of ways that the androids are interacting with the worlds and things like that. It was really pretty game. I should revisit it again at some point.
When I do play Red Dead one day, I will listen. I'll keep my ears open.
Definitely like play that with headphones or surround sound or something.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm not going to play Red Dead.
I had decided that like pretty immediately, but the more people talk about it, the more I'm like, maybe one day. Like, I'll get to it.
I was the opposite. I was there with the hype. I was like,
Really?
yeah, Red Dead, let's go. And then once it came out, I was like, well, actually, maybe not. I don't care.
Well, I don't know. I just knew that game was going to be slow and deliberate, and like the mechanics weren't going to feel great. And that's put me off of previous Rockstar games before, so I just kind of figured that might be the case. And then it came out and it was. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. But the more people talk about it, the more I'm like, but like, if I can get past that, the story is apparently really cool, and the music, and like...
I mean, gameplay's important, though.
If you're willing to take it slow, it's amazing. It's purposely slow, and if you're not in a hurry to play it, then you're gonna have a great time.
I'll go into it with an open mind one day. All right, best soundtrack. Let me go through these. Celeste, God of War, Detroit Become Human, Tetris Effect, and Beat Saber. And I have the two that it would be between for me. What about you guys?
See, Tetris Effect and Beat Saber, I feel are like full on songs. These are like song soundtrack
for sure.
Yeah, like they have singing and the whole thing.
And I have a couple of songs on the Beat Saber soundtrack on my playlist.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And I don't even own Beat Saber.
Whereas the other ones I think are more atmospheric background songs, so it's like
soundtracks for the game.
But yeah, if we're talking about like, Tetris. Okay, I will say the thing about Tetris Effect. I got the Tetris Effect theme for my PlayStation because I like the song so much that I just want to hear it when I'm like loading up my PlayStation.
Yeah. That's high praise.
It's really good. I haven't been all the stages. I don't know what all the songs are. But as soon as I played Beat Saber, I added like 3 songs to my Spotify that play all the time. So I'm willing to give it to Beat Saber.
Okay.
That's my vote.
I don't know anything about the sound in any of these games except for Detroit and God of War, and I did buy the album for God of War so that I could listen to it all the time, and I do.
Mine is very much between Celeste and God of War, but now that I am thinking about it, like, Celeste has incredible music. Like the music's so good, and it's definitely a very different style than God of War. But like, technically, I haven't put a song from Celeste on my playlist where I have with God of War. So I'm going to go with God of War.
The music with God of War just makes you feel things that you're not anticipating, I feel. Like, I think it's just so well designed that, like, you don't have to have much to appreciate it from a musical standpoint in general. Like, the song God of War makes you hype.
The main theme is dope. Like, it's just dope. It's so good.
It makes you feel so powerful. It's empowering as a song. There are songs that's like, okay, when this is playing, like, I'm feeling the betrayal, or I'm feeling the the sadness. I'm feeling the anger. Like that it's and there's not many songs on the album. So the amount of emotions that they make you feel if you're listening to them it's crazy. I have to stand behind God of War.
You know what? I'll give it to God of War.
All right, unanimous vote, everybody. Good job. We did it. We did the thing. All right, most innovative, Bryce.
Most innovative. We've got 4 in this category. God of War. Who would guess?
We just immediately threw it on all of them.
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, A Way Out, and Florence. I'm willing to cut Pokemon from the start just because it does some really innovative, like it changes the formula in a cool way, but not enough to be able to give it the title.
Yeah, it changes the Pokemon formula a little
That's
bit.
exactly it.
But that's,
yeah,
I mean...
That's how I feel about it. Like, I get that it's innovative for Pokemon, but not for, like, video games.
Right.
I mean, in terms of God of War changes the God of War formula very much. Did it change?
I think people are going to try and replicate the one-shot camera.
Yeah, I think it had a huge impact.
I think specifically people are going to try and do the one-shot camera.
Yeah.
I think that is the main thing. When I'm trying to think about like other features that people would try and replicate from God of War, I'm not sure, because God of War mainly just did what a lot of other games did, compiled and just in an incredibly focused way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what else people would try and replicate from that.
I want people to replicate their progression system.
That was pretty good, but it wasn't anything unique.
Right, it wasn't new, right? Not necessarily. Like, they did it really well, but it's not something that we haven't seen before. Like,
yeah. My vote personally would go to A Way Out. I know we're not gonna get it.
My vote is also A Way Out.
Mine too. I would say,
all right,
in terms of doing something new,
yeah, it definitely did.
It failed a lot of things, but it tried a lot of things.
There was a lot of disappointing things about it.
try.
However, there was a lot of stuff that was introduced as a whole to gaming that I would like to see expanded more.
Yeah.
Done
like,
good.
The whole time I remember when I was talking about like when me and Andrew were talking about polish, I remember I kept going like, can you imagine if like Naughty Dog did a game in this style? Like, think about that. That'd be so good if Naughty Dog did a game with you and a friend and like it was that the whole time. Like, it'd be awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, if they did like a co-op Uncharted like that, like they
be incredible.
Yeah. So
Teddy was ready to throw himself off the boat. Like, I know it's not gonna matter, but here we go. Like, wait,
and
Teddy.
then me and Darren like reach out and like, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. I was ready to be like, I know it's not gonna win, but I'll take it. Cool.
Maybe we are a team. Maybe I need to, to assess some things.
Teddy, you want to take us through best gameplay?
Yes, this is the most we have. We threw like a ton of games in here. Celeste,
these are the video game awards
for best gameplay.
We threw a lot of games in this one. It's weird.
Celeste, God of War, Overcooked 2, Spider-Man, Far Cry 5, Beat Saber, Destiny 2 Forsaken, and I threw in Into the Breach as well. So yeah, I threw in a bunch of these. I'm gonna cut Into the Breach because I know no one else would give it to that. But it is. I just wanted to recognize that the gameplay is awesome. It's like a strategy game, but condensed in a perfect way.
Far Cry 5.
I'll also cut that one. That was also just throwing that out there, as in like the guns. There are a surprising amount of guns in that game, and the bow feels really good. The bow always feels good in Far Cry. Just the actual shooting in that game does feel great.
I think Overcooked 2 also deserves a cut because it's basically Overcooked with one more thing.
It's Overcooked 1, but with like one more mechanic. But it's still a great game, and I want to throw it out there.
Destiny 2, I don't know why that was even nominated.
Hey man, that game still feels great in 2019. One of the best feeling shooters out there.
The game didn't come out in 2018,
Forsaken
Denny. That's a
I know,
DLC.
I'm not fighting for it. But yeah, like I think personally Destiny 2 probably still feels better than like Black Ops. Which
Wow, that list got short quick.
Yeah, I knew it would. I was just throwing them on there for recognition.
Celeste, God of War, Spider-Man, Beat Saber.
Do you really want Beat Saber to stay? Because isn't it just a rhythm game?
Yeah, I'm willing to. It's a really good feeling Beat Saber, but it's a game, but it's one note. There's one thing to it, so I will cut it. It just does.
It looks
one
like
thing.
it feels great though, because I mean, it's not just a rhythm game, because it's like a rhythm game where no one else has done lightsabers. You know,
That's because that's a developing game.
it's
category.
VR, you know?
To be fair, Celeste is just a platformer.
But a pixel perfect platformer that is just the right level of difficulty. And if you want to turn it down, the assist options are awesome. Like Celeste is just the right amount of difficult where like the main story is frustrating sometimes, but if you die on one screen, it's just you're working on one screen, and if you die, immediately spawn. It's just like Super Meat Boy where it feels great, and then you're like, okay, if I do that, I can do that just a little bit better until you get through that screen, and then you're on to the next one. And
Wait,
the
it's just like
strawberries-
another game that already exists? Is that what I just heard?
No, because Super Meat Boy is way worse. Or not worse, way harder.
Before you defend that more, I can cut one. Hey, you know why Spider-Man doesn't deserve best gameplay? Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah. Agreed.
Everyone agrees those sucked.
Except for Teddy.
Except for me. A lot of people didn't like him. I get it. I get why, but I personally didn't mind him at all.
The swinging feels so good, but the early combat before you have gadgets, before you're able to actually handle the like stuff, isn't great. Like they should have
Entirely disagree, because even without gadgets, it's still just faster Arkham, and Arkham combat is awesome. Like I'd be faster Arkham in the air. Like you have aerial options. Like I personally would be happy with that the whole time.
there would be so many guys that like you'd start punching somebody trying to get like a bunch of hits in, and then somebody would punch you. So you needed gadgets to be able to do crowd control on the guys. So what, like,
when it gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
But in the early point, you didn't need to do that. In the early point, you could still counter.
I mean, like Spider Drone, I got the pre-order, so I started with Spider Drone, so I had a little bit of crowd control. But like Darian started off and she had nothing. All she could do was punch people, and do web shooters, and the web
I
shooter.
couldn't even punch good.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was a bad time.
I didn't
Darian.
use the drones for a long time, and I was still okay. Like I don't know.
They nailed swinging, but the stealth dragged. Nobody liked it. They didn't nail everything. Everything about the gameplay wasn't enough. So I think
entirely disagree.
Well,
but that's okay.
I'll take it off.
I'm
Darian
alone.
sure as hell ain't gonna defend it.
Don't take it off. These are our final three. We're gonna
Yeah, we don't have to keep erasing them.
Celeste or God of War?
I would personally fight for Celeste, but I'm the only one that has played. Well, you played a bit of it.
Yeah,
but
I dip my toes in just to kind of be like, what is this? Because it's on Games with Gold on Xbox, so I was able to.
Oh shit!
It was either that or
Is
Game
that
Pass.
done?
I wouldn't. Might not be.
If it's not done, everybody go grab Celeste if you have gold. It's amazing. It's a great game. Personally, like my top 3 games of this year are God of War, Spider-Man, and Celeste. So like it could be game of the year on a different day. But I would fight for it, but there's not.
No, Teddy,
I don't think I can convince.
I'm gonna put this up to you because I know that there's a lot of people who say the Celeste gameplay is very, very good, and you have played both of them a lot. Who do you think deserves it?
Personally,
Think hard. This is on you.
I didn't fight the Valkyries at all. I didn't do a lot of the side quests, but I also didn't beat Celeste, but I also did do a lot of side quests, so I gotta balance this out. Oh man, now that I'm really thinking about it, they're both so good, but they're just very different. Like Celeste is one of the best, my favorite 2D platformer I've played. Like it's exactly just like on this screen, right? Like just trying to get from the left to the right or the right to the left, like just trying to get through it. It is totally manageable. It can get a little frustrating because it's hard, but you're not going to spend a ridiculous amount of time on one screen. Like, and each time you get through, there's a sense of accomplishment that you're like, okay, let's move on to the next one. Like, every bit, and the game itself, the story encourages you. The story actually meshes with the gameplay and makes you push forward. Like, just when you think it's getting too hard, like, literally the story will be like, okay, keep going, you got this. Like, the whole point of it is that it is hard, but you can get through it. Like, that's the whole point of that game. I would give it to Celeste. If there's any category I would give Celeste, it's gameplay.
So we're going to Celeste because Teddy's played both, and I know I played a little bit of Celeste and it felt good. I play a lot of God of War, but I know that Celeste is supposed to be the best game. Like that's all it does, and it's supposed to nail it. So
yeah, it's very good. And then this next one I think is going to be real quick.
Yeah, we didn't have much for it, so. Darian.
Wait, hold on. There's really nothing else we could put in there?
I personally would put A Way Out, but
the story was
Bryce
bad.
also would put Red Dead if he had more time with it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What is Moss about? Is that not a story game?
Would put
there's a little bit of story, but it's not. I don't think it's not enough.
Rest in peace, Cade, for Forsaken, but like, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, in best story, God of War in Detroit, we have.
I mean,
me and Darian both played Detroit. Do you want to fight for Detroit, Darian?
I mean, it was a good story, but it wasn't nearly as impactful for me as God of War was.
It was not God of War good.
Yeah, it was not.
It was good. Like, and it definitely
was good.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. It wasn't God of War either, though.
No, it was not God of War good. So we're giving God of War best story, and then Game of the Year. Who would have guessed?
I'll take us through the nominations. The nominations for Ready Set Gamecast Game of the Year for 2018 is Red Dead Redemption 2, Marvel's Spider-Man, Celeste, and God of War.
Man, I'm not kidding. I wish I had played more of Odyssey, because just from what I've seen of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I would, like, if it goes how I think it would or will this year when I play it, hopefully, I would have it in this list too, but I just haven't played enough.
I feel the same way for Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, I had to throw it in there because I know it has I know people are being blown away by it, and what I've played of it, there's so much going on that it has so much potential. I just haven't gotten there, and I feel like it gets there. I just haven't seen it, so I can't defend it. So I have to cut it just from, like, I wanted to throw it in there just because I know it probably deserves it. I just haven't played it, and we don't have anyone here to vouch for it.
Yeah. You know what sucks? Real life responsibilities. They're just garbage. Just the worst, dude.
Spider-Man didn't have the story that it didn't nail enough.
Spider-Man did a few things really good, but it also did enough things really bad.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy the story. It didn't. I was like, this felt really good. It's got a shot for best gameplay, but I don't think it, like I said this after I finished playing, I don't think it deserves Game of the Year because it didn't do the story anywhere that I cared about.
You know what's interesting is the fact that the only, like, negatives I have for the game we haven't mentioned in this show is the puzzles. We mentioned it before when we talked about Spider-Man. I don't really like the puzzles.
Because Bryce and I didn't do the puzzles because they took out the puzzles.
We talked about it last time. I'm just saying in this show. Like, the Spider-Man, the puzzles that you get when you're Peter Parker, I don't necessarily hate them. Like, when I actually was doing them, I felt a sense of accomplishment when I was done. I was like, yeah, all right. But, like, this is more of a streaming complaint because I was streaming, and it would definitely halt the pace of the stream. I was like, all right, we're doing Spider-Man things, we're swinging around, and then I was like, oh, okay, now we're sitting here for a bit. Okay. Like, all right, I guess I gotta do this.
I feel like that game had pacing issues where they tried to slow things down with the Mary Jane and Miles missions, but in ways that didn't feel good.
Personally, I don't mind those, and I do like how that changed the pacing, but I did not like how the puzzles changed the pacing. But also, I think it nailed the gameplay. I like the story. I don't think it nailed the story, but I did like the story. I just really like the gameplay and the music and all. I like Spider-Man a lot more than these people, but it's not gonna.
Okay, let's stop like mincing words here. Like we've been doing elimination for a lot of this, but really, I vote God of War. Darian.
I also vote God of War.
Teddy Chinaris.
It's God of War, and it was from the beginning.
Yes, God of War
no contest.
nailed everything. No. They nailed the story, they nailed the gameplay, they nailed the soundtrack. Like, we threw it in every category.
They nailed my heart.
You wish Kratos would nail you.
I wish Kratos would
Bonus
nail me.
category, most fuckable. Darian wanted it in there. Darian, you get a pick. What's the most fuckable game of 2018?
The most fuckable game of 2018.
Or character?
Oh, no, the game.
She's got a.
I would fuck everything in God of War.
Everything?
No, I take that back. I immediately regret.
There's some fucked up things in God
There's
of
a child in that game. I would no, thank you.
There are monsters and wolves and
she's down for the monsters.
Monsters are fine. I'm not down for pedophilia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not down. You're okay with skeletons?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they got nothing but boners.
Have you seen my ex? Sorry.
Wow. Okay, take us through the winners, Teddy.
Best visuals, God of War. Best sound design, Spider-Man. Best soundtrack, God of War. Most innovative, A Way Out. Best gameplay, Celeste. Best story, God of War. Game of the Year, God of War.
Everybody feel happy with the way that shook out?
Yes. Everyone play all these games.
Yeah.
They're very good video games. If you have money and if you have time, play a lot of these video games. Like, even ones that I just threw out there, like Far Cry. Far Cry is a great game. Like, stuff like that. Like, there are a lot of good games here that we have not, that, like, if you have time, just play them. Like, this is a great time for video games. Video games have to win these categories, they have to be not only good, not only great, but like fantastic. Like, we threw aside great games, you know?
Can we do something interesting?
What?
Do we want to make predictions for next year?
I was gonna throw out like at the end of this episode I was gonna be like, what are the games you guys are most excited about in 2019?
I mean, I'll give you one guess.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh shit, you got it. By the time this comes out, this game will already have been out and I will have already finished it, I'm sure. Not 100%, but I will have finished the story because that is important.
I guarantee Kingdom Hearts 3 won't win Game of the Year. For the simple reason that it's for the same reason that Marvel Infinity War won't win Best Picture. Because it's an amazing film, but only as part of a long series. It can't stand on its own. So even if Kingdom Hearts 3 is amazing for Kingdom Hearts fans, someone tries to play that for the first time, it's gonna go bad. But what made God of War so amazing? What made it so amazing is that it's technically part of this bigger series, but you can play it for the first time and still be blown away. And I don't think Kingdom Hearts can do that.
Well, and I guess we could make that guess because yes, legendarily, the series is very complicated, but I don't think Square would have taken so long to make a game to only cater to its niche audience. I think, at least to a small extent, they're going to make it accessible to people. Like, regardless of if you've played the games before or not.
I don't think you can do both, though. I don't think you can make it accessible and satisfy the complicated story they've been doing all this time. So.
I'm eager to see if they can surprise you. Again, the game hasn't come out yet, so don't want to come to any hasty conclusions.
Well, Teddy, have you played Anthem?
No, I really, 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 really wish I could. I've been watching people all weekend being like, but you need a code or to pre-order it.
I got a code, but it wasn't working for me. Shout out to JJ.
There's a ton of bugs. The servers are super messed up. Honestly, I really wanted to play, and then I saw all that, and I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just
When
wait.
does it
It's
come
okay.
out?
Not far. Like February, I think. February 22nd?
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, February 22nd.
What is Anthem?
Anthem is that Destiny-looking thing, but with like mechs, where you're like,
It is, you are in these things called javelins, these mech suits, and you are like Iron Man. Like straight up in the first demo they showed, he's like walking out of a thing, and then he literally just like takes flight. Like you can just fly wherever you want. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
But it's made by the Mass
BioWare.
Effect team. Yeah, BioWare. It's made by the Mass Effect team, which is why it has a lot of hype behind it. And
Right, weren't people mad because you can't date people in it?
I think people were jokingly.
Yeah, because it's not that type of game at all. I'm worried about it a little bit because it just, ever since I saw the trailer, this is why I want to get hands-on so bad, is ever since I saw like the first reveal, is it looks kind of slow and heavy. Like it doesn't look like it's going to feel great, but everyone does say that it feels really good. So I'm like, okay, that gives me hope. And that's the only, if it feels good and it has a good end game gameplay loop, then it'll absolutely earn its place of like time for, like, it'll earn its place in my heart when it comes to like Destiny like stuff, because it is Destiny like in like the loop of like end game and like grinding, but it looks very unique when it comes to the combat for sure.
That's my guess for at least probably a best gameplay contender for next year.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what I hope. But yeah, I'm excited about Anthem. When I was gonna say games we're excited about, Anthem, Division 2.
Is Last of Us 2 this year?
No.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
It doesn't have a year, but
Okay, then no.
no. I think it's gonna be next year. But Ghost of Tsushima is supposed to be this year, and Sucker Punch is my favorite developer, so I'm very excited about that. But we don't know very much about it at all. And like 2019 is kind of like there's not too much known about everything coming out. Like Pokemon, the 8th gen Pokemon is supposed to come out. That's kind of it for me. Anthem, Division 2, and I don't even know what I just said. Anthem, Division 2, and the other one that I said a second ago that I've forgotten.
Okay.
Very excited for it. I can tell.
So let's get this wrapped up with what have you been what have you been playing? No. Where can people find we're just rolling into the normal show.
For your regular episode. That would be ridiculous.
Darian, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/dexterity. That's it.
Okay. Teddy.
Twitch.tv/Teddy Chinaris and Twitter.com/Teddy Chinaris and YouTube and all that. At this point, this semester is so ridiculous that like I'm basically just streaming whenever I can for fun. So keep an eye on Twitter and also Discord for that.
Hey, I just remembered this is a bonus episode, but we love our Patreons. So I'm like, I was gonna be like, hey, go to Teddy's Patreon. He's all right. But go to Last Geek's Patreon, because it helps make this great content. And we've already had people go to our Patreon and support Ready Set Gamecast, like Aaron C. and Dragon Lucas did. Thank you. Here's a little bit bonus content that everybody gets to enjoy because of our great Patreons. They are a gift that gives to the world.
Or us.
That too.
Mostly to us, yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly just
You help me be able to play video games and do them as tax write-offs without even having to
Maybe
stream
possibly. We don't know.
Yeah,
He's
I have
going
to go talk to a guy.
to
I'm going to go talk to a guy tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But before that happens, you can follow me at twitter.com/lastgeek, instagram.com/lastgeekplays, youtube.com/lastgeek for the video version of this and all my other content. And lastgeek.com has links to this podcast, Game 8 Corp, and other great content. Thank you for enjoying this long discussion of our favorite games of 2018, and hanging out. We will see you again soon. Not in 2 weeks. It's before that, because this is bonus. This is a bonus one. Okay.
Yay, bonus.
Goodbye.
Bye, people.